Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Moola with the Experts. We have with us Gaurav Jain, who is, like you all know, a real estate expert himself. He's a chartered financial analyst and has authored two books on real estate, one of them being on REITs. He is so thank you, Gaurav, for coming today and really a warm welcome. Before we
Thank you.
start off
Thank you, Meeta.
with, thank you for being here, Gaurav. And before we start off today, a few things which I would like to say is that Gaurav has himself been an investor in REITs. And so, whatever he talks today are going to be more of his personal views and experiences. And so, whoever listens to this video and video today must do their own due diligence before they go about investing in and looking at this product as an asset class. Uh, if you want to know more about REITs or what these products are, or even about Gaurav's books and all these are mentioned in the bio. So do look at this at the end of the video. Also, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section, and Gaurav will be more than glad. I hope so,
Yeah, sure.
to answer those questions. So over to you, Gaurav, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Meeta. Thank you so much for having me over for this session on REITs, which in fact is a very, very new as well as a very interesting topic. I think personally, like you mentioned, I have been an investor in REITs, and I think they're very, very exciting instruments. And this is the time probably to be in them. I mean, to understand these instruments as they're evolving.
Sure thing. So, what
So,
is REITs? I mean, can you just demystify this word itself
yeah,
for us?
so I mean, since your forum is largely meant for people who don't know too much about finance, I would really like to cut out all the finance jargon and just explain it in very, very simple layman terms. So the first part is, let's say you have a commercial real estate asset which is valued at about 100 crores. Now, me, you, or so many other investors won't probably have that kind of a corpus to invest in that. So what we do is, uh, a lot of people get together and buy that asset. That's the basic thing. So now you extrapolate it to other cities, maybe two or three commercial assets or 10 commercial assets, and all that is pooled into a certain financial vehicle which is called a REIT vehicle. It's a REIT, real estate investment trust. And then the units are floated, and either they are listed publicly. So we are going to talk more about the publicly listed units of REITs. And then they are also traded in the exchanges. So you kind of become, with this ownership, you become an owner of all those 10, 15 assets that that particular REIT has, and you get an undivided share in those assets. So what it really means is you are owning some real estate, and you are getting the benefits like an owner, and without really owning it and doing it personally and professionally. It's all professionally managed. That's the basic idea. So a lot of people call them as, mutual funds for real estate. You can call them as pooled vehicles or whatever, but this is what it really means in simple, very simple terms.
Awesome. So, what it really means is that you as an investor are able to get small, bite-sized units of each of these real estates, and multiple of them, right? So there could be
Correct.
multiple real estates, and you're getting just a small part of it through the
Yeah.
units.
So for example, a REIT could have assets in Delhi or Bombay or Bangalore at the same time, and with those units, you are a holder in all those flows which come in as rentals, and the price of the assets, an aggregate price of the assets.
So what I mean,
You
why
know.
should I as an investor go in for a REIT rather than going in for a property myself? Like you said, one of the things was because it's like large sizes, 100 crore properties,
Yeah.
and you were able to make money out of those.
Yeah, so the first thing is that there is a certain bulk money involvement in properties, or people have a lot of hands-on issues of management, or there are legal hassles and so on. And then there are some very good properties which are really out of reach of most investors. This way you get A grade commercial assets in your portfolio with all the kind of returns, with the best of the tenants that you have in the world. And at the same time, the hassles are taken care of by somebody else, of course, at a certain fees, which is a percentage, a small percentage of the total revenues as
Okay.
a professional fees that they charge from the
Okay.
entire, the corpus of the REIT.
So how do I invest now? Now that I know that there are benefits of investing in REIT, how do I
Yeah.
go about investing in it?
Okay. So the first part is that, uh, see, one is there are we are here talking about publicly traded REITs. Okay, so
Yes.
publicly traded REITs. Currently, we have three publicly traded REITs here. That's the, like Meeta, you just mentioned. The links are also given in the bio and the on the video. So there's the Mindspace REIT, Embassy REIT, and just recently the Brookfield REIT. So all these are publicly traded today, with a unit size of say 200 units, and which calls for an investment of roughly around 50,000 or so for each lot that you buy. So
So you
approximately,
have to spend
depending on what the current
50,000. That's
price,
the minimum
50 to
investment.
60, approximately 50 to 60,000 is the kind of money that you have to spend initially. So obviously, it's far more than when you buy a Nifty Bees or something, but it's far far lesser than when you spend in any kind of a commercial real piece of real estate. So it is a little bit more than what you have in terms of the normal stock prices, but still it's very very less.
Sure.
Secondly, you can always, it's just like any other share. As the links are mentioned, they have their own share identities and everything. So you can just go on to your broker platform or any platform that you use and just buy and sell them as normal equity stocks.
So do you
There are
mean that
differences in, yeah.
So do you mean that the share price, like a share price, the unit price of one REIT is 50,000 odd rupees?
No, so they are in 22 lots of 200 units each currently, all these
Okay.
three.
Okay.
And each, so one unit is, say, for a Brookfield REIT, it would be somewhere around 230, 240 today. Or for Embassy REIT, it's around 310 today. So that's the kind of price. So you 310 multiplied by 200 give you about 62,000 rupees.
Okay.
So that's the
Understood.
kind of investment one is looking at. That's the lot
Okay.
size.
Understood. Understood.
And
And
the
these are,
same way, if you want to exit, you do the same thing. You sell it at whatever the price is in the market.
and is it a liquid instrument? You can easily buy and sell it?
So yeah, so there is obvious. See, it is very quite liquid. That's not a problem. But if you say that you want to trade it, just like you trade, say, the very liquid stocks, it's not as liquid as that, as my experience is. Because though there are always buyers and sellers, but when we talk about liquidity, it's about the small difference in the buy and the sell price. Sometimes one can have a problem there, but usually I've not faced any problem till now.
So, Gaurav, what is the kind of investment horizon one should look at when one is investing in REITs?
Okay, so the let's that also brings me to your first question, which probably I didn't complete at
Sorry.
that point of time, when you talked about why should a person invest in REIT. So let's put it in the time frames, different time frames. So the first thing to understand is that these could be suitable for anybody who is looking at a risk return profile between debt and equity. They are not debt instruments, they are not equity instruments. And going by that, firstly, for a very short term horizon, though I do not feel that they are very great as a very short term investment, but I know of people who've traded in them. Short term trading, say they'd buy it today and sell it after 10 days and so on, and make money there. But I am not somebody who's very comfortable with that. The second time horizon is, say, you could see, link it as your understanding of how your things would function, say, pan out in the next 3 to 5 years, something like that, and then make money out of it. And the third, which I very strongly feel, is that they can be a very excellent tool for retirement planning. For the simple reason that the rentals generated by these commercial properties increase over a period of time, say 5% every year on an average. This would be given out as outflows by the REITs as dividends or distributions, as they call it, to the unit holders. And there will also be an appreciation in the properties that is there. So looking at time frame of 10 or 15 years, these could be excellent tools for retirement planning, because a lot of retirees probably miss out on the capital upswing, or they see all that inflation is beating them down all the time. So I think all three categories can really benefit out of REITs if done properly and with due diligence and study.
So, Gaurav, you would mention that it's neither a debt product nor an equity product. So, how are the returns given to investors? Like you just said, that it's in the form of dividends. Is it true that they're not fixed, but I mean, as in when the rents come in, it's distributed by the way of dividend,
Yeah.
or is there some fixed return too? I mean, is it when you said
So
it's a
firstly,
hybrid?
they don't call it dividends, they call it distributions. So it could be in various forms, so we shouldn't really go into too much of details on that, but the essential part to understand is that whatever comes in by way of rentals is distributed, more than because all these vehicles and instruments are governed by SEBI. So it mandates that a certain portion, a substantial part of what comes in is to be distributed, 90% and more is to be distributed, and so on. There are various rules for that. So the rentals, like we all know, rentals are far more stable, compared to what equity dividends are. So they kind of reflect that kind of a behavior of debt, but at the same time it's not fixed. So again, it becomes like an equity product, and then over a period of time there is an increment there also. Again, what we see in equity is that over a period of time dividends have a tendency to go up if the company is doing well. So all that is kind of, and then the third part is that in debt, the underlying asset stock, the underlying assets in case of debt, the corpus is fixed, whereas in equity it is not. The same case in REITs. There are commercial assets which are underlying these instruments. So the value of these assets are reflected in the traded prices of the units over a period of time, and there are valuation reports which are given out by valuers periodically, uh, and that is also mandated by SEBI. And all these are very much in line with what there are very stringent laws that SEBI has outlined for REITs, so that investors are protected. Having said that, I still feel that we have more to probably we are more we are a bit uh, in an evolving kind of a market, because the instrument started in 2014, and that's when the SEBI came out with its laws on REITs and infrastructure investment trusts, which are called InvITs. And these first REIT happened only in 2017 by way of Embassy Park REIT. So this is an exciting time to get into them, understand, and build your portfolios. And when it comes to portfolios, I think the next question that you would ask is, what is the percentage of the money that you should put into your portfolio?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the REITs, typically what people say is 5 to 15% should be in REITs. That's as far as the NAREIT website says. But I mean, each to his own. So for example, I would probably in the next 4 or 5 years, I would start feeling far more comfortable with larger and larger part of my portfolio once I'm more and more comfortable with this instrument. And if it performs well for him, why not? Each to his own, as far as portfolio allocation is concerned.
So one question I have, Gaurav, from what you had said, is that there is a price, right, of the unit. Is it a similar kind of a concept like an NAV in mutual funds? I mean, of course, I know you've said that there are guidelines around how valuation is done, but the price of the asset itself or of the unit itself fluctuates and changes over a period of time.
Yes, it fluctuates, and it is not something that is declared as per the underlying value of stocks. Like in a case of a mutual fund,
Right.
there will be an aggregate of values of all stocks and divided by the number of units, right? In
Right,
case of a mutual fund,
right,
but this
right.
would not be in the same way in REITs. This would be based on the perception of the value that the investors have of the underlying assets. You know,
Of course, because
so
and
it's a
that's
bit
why
different from there.
evaluation is this thing. It's
So
like
the
a company
valuation is
valuation. It's a company value.
correct. So it's again, now it's a bit of this and a bit of that. So it's a bit of the company and it's a bit of the mutual fund. So
Right.
it's a very typical instrument. It's not something that's
Mm.
just like this. It's like this and like that all the time in a
Right.
lot of things.
So, what are the kind of returns
More,
one can expect in it? I mean,
Yes.
it's
So
a very ballpark figure. Obviously,
yeah.
I
So very
understand it.
ballpark. All these three REITs which I've mentioned, they have promised. They they're not allowed to promise. Obviously, but they give a kind of a ballpark yield of around 8% or so, 8.5%, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So plus the appreciation part. So I think we should see anything in the range of 12 to 15%. We should be able to see that pre-tax kind of a return on that.
I think this was really helpful, Gaurav, because I mean, frankly, I didn't know any of these things about REIT, and I'm sure a lot of our audience also may not have known. And you really helped us demystify REITs and made it easy
I
for,
hope so.
and
I
made
hope
it
so. I do
easy
hope so.
made it easy for my audience, I think, to start thinking of this this instrument as an asset class. And so if I could very quickly sum up what Gaurav had said today, he has explained to us what REIT really is. It's REIT is a real estate investment trust, right, Gaurav? Is that the
Yes, yes,
okay?
absolutely,
Perfect. So
absolutely.
it's a real estate investment trust, and here investors can actually, there are three, I think, currently in India. Investors can go about on any of their broker platforms and go and invest in it. They are in the form of similar kind of units, though a little bit with a difference, like in the case of mutual funds. So you can so there are underlying assets against which you can purchase these units, and over a period of time you get returns which are a hybrid of between debt and equity. So it has a mix of both. And yes, they are fairly liquid and a good asset class to consider. So thank you, Gaurav, so much for your enlightening talks today. And I'm sure the viewers, as usual, would have benefited from what you've talked to us today.
I do hope so. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mita. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Gaurav.